Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello everyone, this is Jarvis S. Scott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with attorney Jamiria Moore of Sperling and Moore PC. Good afternoon, Attorney Moore.
Good afternoon.
Great. Thank you for coming back on the podcast.
Yes.
I'm not going to say it's your first time guest, but thanks for coming back on again.
Thank you.
Great conversation we're going to have today. We're going to talk about wills and estates and what happens in probate court. So I want to bring on Attorney Moore to kind of talk about this great subject, important subject, especially in the time of COVID-19 and everything going on. But before we start, can you do just a brief bio?
Oh, sure. I'm Jamiria Moore. I'm a partner with Sperling and Moore Attorneys at Law. We've been practicing since about 2006. I practice in the area of probate and also real estate. And today I'm excited about talking about probate. So that's one of the areas that I really enjoy practicing in. I love helping families. So I'm ready to get started.
Okay, so tell me what happens in probate.
I tell you, probate court is such a special court. Some of the things that happen in probate court, of course, wills. When someone passes away, you either have a will or you don't have a will. In probate court, you have guardianships, conservatorships, adoptions are handled in a probate court. Condemnations are handled in probate court. A lot of times you might get some tax deed information that may have come out of probate court. You do recordings, you record your mortgage, you can get a marriage license in probate court. So there's just so many things that you can do in probate court. But today I think we're talking more in the lines of wills and what happens if if you pass with the will and if you pass without a will.
Okay, so I'm going to give you three scenarios. So get into the third scenario. So the first scenario is I pass away and I have a will. What happens from there?
Well, first of all, make sure that you tell somebody where that will is located. That's one of the things that I find that a lot of people don't do. They may do a will and they don't tell the person that needs to know where it's located. But if you pass away and you have executed a will, then the person who you have set as the executor or the executrix. So to make that real simple, the person who you have left in charge of making sure that your wishes are carried out, that person will either contact an attorney to make sure the necessary paperwork is done to probate the will. What it means to probate the will is basically to prove the will. Prove that what's in the will is what was supposed to be there in your wishes. So that's what it means to probate a will. So first, we draft a petition to probate the particular will. We list all the heirs and everything that is associated with that particular will. We contact those heirs, make sure that we have waivers so that if we don't have to do what we call a hearing. If you don't get a waiver from everybody to waive that hearing, or if we can go ahead and issue those letters of testamentary, because that's why you're probating the will, because that person who you've left in charge is going to actually stand in your shoes. So what I always tell my clients is you are standing in the shoes of the person who has passed away, and you are executing their wishes according to what's stated. So go.
So that happens, like, you can only probate it when the person is after they pass away, correct?
Yes, right. Okay. You cannot. I get that question a lot. Should I take this? I just got my will done. Can I take it down to probate court? No. You probate the will after the person passes away. Yes.
So how long do a person have to, after they pass away for it to actually get probated?
Well, normally with the will, you have 5 years. Okay. And then you still can do some things if it's exceeded that time frame. There are some things that you can do. But I always tell families it's best to go ahead and probate that will as soon as practical.
Okay. Because, scenario, they can't go to the bank the next day.
No.
A lot of people are like, I got a will. I can go to the bank next day without going through that step.
That's right. And that happens a lot. Now, there are some situations that if you if someone has left something different, or they've left instructions to the banks like a payable on death, somebody might be able to go directly to the bank. But if it's listed in that will, that will have to be probated. The one good thing about probating a will, normally in the wills that we do in our office, we state that the person who is going to step in your shoes, they don't have to be bonded. Sometimes that's really important because there's a lot of cost to getting bonded. So you may want to make sure you execute the will, because you don't want the person to have to go out and get a bond, because that's additional pricing.
So what's the purpose of the bond? Is it to protect?
Yeah, the bond is to protect the heirs and to protect the estate. So if you pass away without a will in the state of Alabama, you do have to get a bond that's set by the court system.
Oh wow!
And that's based on what the assets of the estate may come out to be. You may have real estate. The real estate may come out to be, if you sell it, $200,000 or $300,000. You may have to be bonded for that amount, if that amount of equity. The court looks to what the amount of equity and if that bond needs to be increased or decreased. But the minimum bond is normally $25,000, and that can run you anywhere from $150 to $350 or more. So that's one of the that's a really good reason to leave a will for your family. Not just that purpose, but you want to try to save your family money, especially during that time, because you don't know what may be going on with them.
How long does it usually take, the process, even with, leaving it in the gift?
Well, sometimes wills can take up to a year, 6 months. Some of them can be as fast as 6 months, 7 months, a year. Some can take as long as 2 to 3 years. It's according to what the assets are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and according to, if someone wants to contest the will, we have that to happen sometimes. When a party may think, or heir may think, that the will was not executed properly, that the person who made the will was up under undue influence, or they were not competent to make a will, and they challenge that particular will.
Okay, so I guess I'm thinking of, I was thinking of all these different scenarios. So what happens in the second scenario when a person does not have a will?
Right, and we talked a little bit about that, but if someone passes away without a will, they die intestate. That's the name legal that we use. That means passing away without a will. So when you do that, basically the state of Alabama has laws that tell you how your things are going to be distributed to your heirs. And the state of Alabama also has a succession plan that tells you who your heirs are. So let's example, you are in a blended marriage. And what I mean by blended marriage, this is your second marriage. You may have a set of children from your first marriage, and now you have a new wife. You might have new children in that. So if you don't leave a will, the state of Alabama tells you exactly that your wife gets a portion, your children by your prior wife may get a portion, your other kids may get a portion. So it basically lays out what happens if what happens to your things pursuant to the law. It basically tells you how you're going to do your stuff. Now, I don't like to be told how to do what I'm going to do. Now, so I'm going to make sure I have control as best as I can to make it easier for my family. So you want to make sure that you do have one. But the other part of when you pass away without a will, that's that bonding part. The person who actually opens the estate has to be bondable. And that means that they have to have a credit check. And those things can, cause people not to be able to be over your things. Your spouse may have gone through some financial shakeup because you passed away. And now their credit may be damaged and they can't get a bond. So you want to make sure that we're all being cognizant that we are going to make a will, and we're going to do what we have to do to take care of our families. And I found now with COVID-19, with the virus that's going on and everything, that people are actually becoming more aware. We're talking about these things. These are things that we normally don't like to talk about. Most people don't like talking about when I pass away, or if someone else that I love, what happens when they pass away. Those are things that we try to keep in the closet that we don't like to talk about. But I think with the way that our country is going and things that have occurred, those conversations are opening up. And I'm really happy because we are definitely one law firm that want families to stay together. And most of the time, when we don't tell our family what we want to happen with our things, it will divide.
Yeah, the state will tell you.
Yeah, well, the state will tell you. And then the other part about it is it can become kind of touchy. Family members may not be happy. Mm-hmm. And so you want to make sure that you lay those things out. So it's always best to do a will. But if something happens, state of Alabama already got it laid out for you.
So I always like to say this too, because I always think of question. You inherit the person's assets, but you also inherit the debts too.
Well, no, you don't inherit debts. Basically, the estate, what happens is when you open an estate, creditors do have an opportunity to file claims against the estate that you open. Now, once they file a claim, of course, they have to file it within a certain time frame. And if they miss that time frame, that claim can be denied. However, you can, one thing about that, if your loved ones, it's not love so much you're inheriting, it's just according to what needs to be paid. And most of the time, those debts can be negotiated. A lot of times, a lot of companies will basically forgive the debt. Some companies won't. But I will tell you this, make sure that you are familiar with the debts of your loved one if you're close to them. So sometimes we're not that familiar with them, but if you're doing a will, if you know that you have debts, you may want to have something laid out in there. Well, just as a supplement, I have these debts at this point, so your loved ones will know what's going on.
And also, this random just came on top of my head. So, what about student loan debt? Is that how that's handled?
Well, student loan debt, if someone passed away with student loan debt, it's just the same. If the federal government, which they probably will, if there's an estate with monies that can pay those debts, the federal government will probably file a claim against that estate. And then those claims will have to be paid if there are funds in the estate to pay them. Now, your personal funds, those are not used. It has to be the funds of the deceased individual. So if you open an estate and your sister had student loan debt, you don't take it on as your personal debt. It's still your sister's debt. And if she has assets that can take care of those debts, then those assets will have to take care of that debt, not your personal money.
Well, let me think about this and just speak as far as like business owners. If something happens like a solo person who's a solo entrepreneur with a business with multiple, in cases like that, have you seen?
I have. Most of the time, if you are in business, I always tell you to get you a very good business attorney so that they can know how that's going to be laid out. Now, most people who are solo, or if you are in what we call just a standard sole proprietorship, when you file your taxes, your business is as if it's you. Yeah. So it's going to pretty much go the same way as if, it was solely owned by you. But if you're in a partnership, in your partnership agreement, you may want to make sure that your partnership agreement actually lays out what happens in the case one of the partners pass away. So you want to make sure those things are carried out, because that could cause a lot of friction in families. Because if you got a sewing business and Susie and Jane were in the sewing business together, but no one else in Jane passes away, but nobody else in Jane's family knows how to sew. So I don't think Jane can then be in that, but it could be something in that partnership agreement where her family could receive a benefit from that business. So I do advise you to make sure that that's a part of your business plan. You want to talk to a business attorney about that. Okay. And also a probate attorney as well. We'll love to help you with that too.
All right. So let me give you this wonderful scenario. Scenario.
It's got me. I love it.
Let's say there's a will.
Okay.
I got a will out there, but 3 or 4 years later, I don't want that person to be the executor of my will. So I get another will what happens when you got two different wills that's out there?
Yes, that happens sometimes. However, if you have a will that you've done, and I'll give you a year, 2015. When you do a will in 2020, that cancels the will in 2015 as long as everybody is still competent and there's no undue influence. So normally in our wills, in the first paragraph, it states that any other will that I've done at this time has been revoked. So this is my new dream. This is what I want to happen now. So that happens a lot because things change, life change, people change. One of the things that we definitely do in our law office when someone comes in, if there's been a divorce or if there's been a loss of a spouse, a new spouse, you want to do what we call an estate checkup. You want to make sure that you do that estate checkup at least once a year. You want to make sure that all of your policies are in line, that the proper names are on there. We get a lot of times in our office, what happens is someone has an insurance policy, but they got mom's name on the insurance policy. Mom passed away 6 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Mom's name is still on the insurance policy. But what happens with that is it rolls back to the owner of the policy. You see what I'm saying? Because mom was the beneficiary. Beneficiary is no longer living. So it goes back to the policy owner. So what you want to do is do what we call an estate checkup. You want to make sure you look at your insurance policies. You want to make sure you look at your bank account. You want to make sure that any other investment accounts, if you don't have named beneficiaries, you want to keep all of those things up to date. You want to make sure your will is up to date, your living will is up to date. If you have a power of attorney, that is really important as well. A power of attorney is very, very important because if you have a power of attorney and I give you, let's just say you're my son. You're probably young enough to be my son, maybe not. But if you were my son and I got to a point that I could no longer go out and handle my business, and that means I can't drive, but I'm still pretty competent at this point, but I'm allowing you to take care of my business. So a power of attorney is a powerful thing. There are several different types, but if I want just to give you a general power of attorney to go out and handle my business, that's already in place. Now let me tell you why that's good. So while I'm in my right mind, I give you that power of attorney. Something major happens to me. Now you don't have to go to probate court or you don't have to get a conservatorship or a guardianship over me because you have a power of attorney that I authorized. So that's a part of your estate checkup. The reason I say that is because you may get out there and find one of those, something happens and I no longer want you to be a power of attorney. Same way you revoke a will, you can revoke a power of attorney. Any prior power of attorneys that I had before this are revoked and this is my new power of attorney. This is the new person that I want to carry out the duties if something happens to me while I'm living.
And this kind of segues into my next question I'd like to ask you is, today we have we live in a very quick, convenient society.
Yes.
So everything's quick and convenient. We even got legal services that we can get online that's quick and convenient. Like, I Google this power of attorney. I Google this will. All I got to do is plug in the name. Can you tell people kind of the pros, the cons behind that?
Yes.
Yes.
And I know that it's so easy. I get those questions all the time. Oh, wow. I could just get one from, and I won't call any names, but off of Google or whatever it is. You Google it and it pops up. One thing about it, you want to make sure that if you get it, you get a will offline. That you need to make sure it applies to the state that you live in. I know that your broadcast goes all out for various states. Well, you want to make sure that will is compliant with the laws of that particular state. We have some that we call self-attested or self-proved wills. That means that it has two witnesses and a notary. So the two witnesses are witnessing the signature of the person that's signing the will, and then the notary is witnessing the signature of the two witnesses. So it's self-proved. So you want to make sure that you have all of those little nuances. So some of the ones online don't take into account that. They basically are general in nature, and they try to do a catch-all for every state because it may cost them too much to try to do one for each and every state, every county. You get in some of your larger states, some counties may do this, some counties may not do this. So I would tell you always to seek legal counsel, even if it's just for a consultation, just to get some information. So you don't want to grab a power of attorney that may not fit what the laws of the state where you live requires. And then now something has happened and that power of attorney is no good. Now you end up having to get a conservatorship or a guardianship over your loved one to make sure that you can take care of their business while they're still living. And something has happened, such as somebody may get dementia or something of that nature, and you have to handle their business for them. Now, when you get a guardianship and a conservatorship, guardianship is over the individual person. A conservatorship is over the money of that person and making sure that that person is taken care of. Now, when you get a conservatorship, you have to report everything that you're doing financially for that person to the court system. In addition to that, if you get a conservatorship, you have to be bonded. There's that word again, bonded. A lot of credit issues come with that. So you might want to make sure that if you're looking online, make sure that it's relevant to the jurisdiction that you're in.
All right, and that kind of segues me to another topic we want to talk about, adoptions.
Yes.
Can you explain to us how the adoption process works in Alabama?
Yes, that is one of the times that I get to smile in court when we are placing children with parents or individuals that really want to love and nurture those individual children. So in Alabama, or in probably most states, you got two type of adoptions. One is called related adoption, one is unrelated adoption. We'll talk quickly about a related adoption. Normally a related adoption could be maybe a step parent adoption, or it could be a grandparent that has been placed in a situation where they have to adopt their grandchildren, or someone in the heirship. The more distant your relationship is to the person that's being adopted, it could fall into the category of unrelated adoptions, because we do have levels here. So they may be your second cousin or something like that, and that's not really considered a related adoption. It may fall over into the other category of adoption. But that is filed in our probate court. When it's related, normally, some of the sad things that may happen, someone may have a child and their child passes away. So what goes on, they have to step in and adopt their grandchild. So we file what we call, a petition for adoption. We do all the statutory requirements, which means that normally, in a normal case, the child has to have lived with you for 1 year prior to that adoption. But there are some exceptions, and you will have to file an exception with the probate court if something tragic happens and you have to immediately do an adoption of that minor child or of that person. Now, those sometimes they can be really just the best thing when you see the smile on a child's face that know they're getting ready to go into a family that loves them, and they are going to be loved and they're going to be cared for. Now, in our state, with unrelated adoptions, of course, you have to have a home study by a competent individual, a counselor that comes out, and you have to do background checks. It's very thorough. Our probate court is a very thorough probate court. They make sure that you have all of the proper documentations, all of the background checks are completed, all of the home studies are completed, and all of the petitions are filed appropriately. So yes, they do beautiful adoptions in the probate court.
Is there a cost for adoption?
Yes, there is a cost for adoptions. Normally there's a filing fee. Once you pay that filing fee, and I won't kind of quote any filing fees because it changes from jurisdiction to jurisdiction as far as the cost. But you will have filing fees, and then when you get to the date of the adoption, you will have what we call your court costs that will have to be paid on the day of the adoption.
Okay. Yeah. So if they want to contact you to be their personal attorney for all these matters we talked about today, what's your phone number?
Yes, you can reach me, Attorney Jamiria Moore at Sperling and Moore, PC. Our telephone number is 205-868-3016. I'll say it one more time. It's area code 205-868-3016. We are attorneys changing circumstances in your favor. We are attorneys that work very hard for our clients. We do have a website. You can also see us on go to our website. It's www.sperlingandmore.com. We're on Facebook. I think we're on Instagram. We all over it.
Where are you located?
We're located at 1025 23rd Street South. We're in Suite 200. That's Birmingham, Alabama, 35205.
Okay, just any final thoughts? I know we can't talk about.
Final thoughts. I just want to share with you right now, while we're going through COVID-19, our office, we do offer virtual consultations. So we're trying to be careful in our current climate. I think even after COVID is hopefully eradicated and everything, all the virus is gone and all of the vaccinations are done and everybody's safe, we will still continue to offer those virtual consultations so that we can see you. And we work all over the state of Alabama. We're just not in Jefferson County. I do probate work all over the state. Mm-hmm. So if you're in a different county, you can still give us a call. As long as it's in Alabama, we'll be more than happy to listen to your issues, see if we can set up that virtual meeting. We'll walk you through that virtual meeting to get you on so that we can all stay safe during this time.
All right, well, Attorney Moore, thank you for coming on today. Look forward to working with you all on future segments. And educating the community, because, the law is a very complex thing, but it can be very simple if you have an attorney, and it can not be much of a headache.
Yes, of course. Make sure you contact your local, if you have an attorney. Mm-hmm. All attorneys don't practice in the probate area. Mm-hmm. So if you have an attorney that your family uses, ask your attorney to recommend somebody. Hopefully they'll recommend us, but if not, make sure that you do your homework and just give us a shout, give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to help you.
All right, well, Attorney Moore, thank you for coming on today. Thank you all for watching this video. Please check out what's happening in Birmingham.com for more videos, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.